This is a call for an uprising. We welcome you to today's show. We ask those of you who have not subscribed to please subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue to expose the satanic Illuminati agenda. Since this weekend, Disney will be celebrating 60 years. Congratulations to them. In honor of that, we'll be exposing 60 years of Disney's Illuminati brainwashing mind control that they've been putting on the masses since the 50s. Now, I know a lot of people out there don't want to hear this. This is probably one of the hardest topics to talk about when it comes to Illuminati control and what they control in the media. A lot of people hear about celebrities. A lot of people hear about musicians. And that's difficult enough, but some can agree. Disney is something that has been pushed on all of us since we were children. So the mind has a really difficult time separating from it. The mind is attached to it. There's an attachment to some Disney films that we all saw when we were children. And that makes it very hard to accept this as reality. But I am giving you the truth. You can take it for what it's worth, which is the truth, or you can dismiss it because you're too selfish to let go of something that means a lot to you as a child. But nonetheless, maybe this will help you save your child or children you know from being put under this mind control. Okay? Disney has been given this illusion of it's perfect and it's wonderful and it's everything that's right with what's going on in this sick world. When in fact Disney was created as a front, as a cover for MK Ultra mind control. It was created as a front for Walt Disney. Okay? Let's start with Walt Disney. Walt Disney, 33rd degree Freemason. You can even find Disney Masonic lodges in the Magic Kingdom. Okay? This is what they do. They create a false image of these people through the media. They just pump them, put nice music behind a short documentary about someone like Walt Disney. And everybody just goes, what a wonderful guy. He looks clean. He looks great. The Bible warns about this. It warns about people like this falling for these false idols. Okay? These people, none of these people in any of these positions are good people. They're deviants. They only get there because they're in the occult and they're positioned that way. You have to understand that the occult controls and runs everything. Okay? There are books exposing Walt Disney. Hollywood's Darkest Prince. Other books that talked about how Disney was so secretive and kept a distance from everyone. There are books talking about his roots, how he was adopted and he came from an abusive background. Okay, we know this from studying the occult, studying Satanism, that a lot of these people come from an abused background. Okay, Walt Disney was adopted. He came from an abused background, and he had an obsession with children. And his obsession wasn't the obsession that you think, which is to make children happy. I mean, that seems like a nice cover, right? I mean, who would suspect something like that then? But now maybe people are more open to suspecting it because they see what's going on. There was a cover for Disney. Okay, he was a notorious occultist, a notorious pedophile, a 33rd degree Mason. Yes, his pedophilia was never exposed, he was never arrested, but none of these guys are. They point the finger in the other direction, so you look in the other direction. Just like I talk about my video about sex trafficking. Okay, who do you think these people are that are doing it? It is a billion-dollar industry. Child pornography is a billion-dollar industry. Listen to the video with Zach King. Okay, but let's talk about Disney as in a whole here. Because you might be somebody who likes Disney, who's grown up watching Disney. I completely understand. All of us grew up watching Disney. We all thought it was safe and clean and wonderful. And we all still relate to it. We see a Disney movie we liked as a kid and it reminds us of our childhood. So it's hard to accept this. It's hard to disassociate from Disney. Okay? Think about what Disney stands for. The Magic Kingdom. The Disney films are programming to indoctrinate children with sorcery and with magic and with superpowers and all these things that incorporate magic and the occult. Okay? I'll go over a list right now. Let's read it out. This is just a few. There's so many more probably. Okay, but I don't know the plots of all these films because there's so many films that they produce. But this should be enough to at least get your eyes open. I mean, you could start with just saying, wow, the Magic Kingdom. Wonder what that stands for. You have Fantasia, the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Right? Mickey Mouse doing magic, sorcery, black magic. You have Aladdin with the genie. You have Cinderella, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, magic. Alice in Wonderland, Pinocchio, Magic, The Reluctant Dragon, Dumbo, Peter Pan, Sleeping Beauty, Sword in the Stone, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Hocus Pocus, Hercules and Atlantis, talking about Greek gods and Greek mythology, false gods. Princess Diaries, which is more Cinderella programming. Monsters, Inc., Santa Claus franchise. Santa, sorry if you're Christian and you're not aware of this, Santa is Nimrod. Santa represents Satan, Nimrod. Okay? The Incredibles, which is about superpowers. Nightmare Before Christmas. Enchanted. Race to Witch Mountain. Princess and the Frog. The remake of Sorcerer's Apprentice. Oz, the Great and Powerful. Maleficent. Into the Woods. I mean, that's like 50 right there. And that's not going into the plot of all of these films, which have the same core plot. Okay? Then they remake them. Why do you think there's remakes of Cinderella all the time? Alice in Wonderland all the time. And people say, why are they remaking it? The original is the best. They remake these films to modernize them for the next generation, for the brainwashing. Okay? They redo it because this is the type of programming that has been working for them. Why would they change the programming? The Cinderella programming has been working for them for centuries. They're not going to change the programming and create new programming because look where we're at, exactly where they want us to be. So what do? They remake it. They remake it to modernize it so the next generation can relate to it. Make it more colorful, make it more look modern day. That's why. And I'm not going to go into great detail about all the symbols in the cartoons because there are sexual innuendos in the films. There are pyramids, there are all-seeing eyes. All of that stuff is there, part of the predictive programming, the conditioning. But there's plenty of videos out there you could look up if you want to see specifically inside of the cartoons. I'm just giving you an overall wake-up call to what Disney's about. Then let's talk about the long line of people who have come through the Disney programming. Why do you think that is? Why do you think Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, why do you think all these people start at Disney, okay? Then they get pushed out of Disney, go into mainstream and become big stars? Because they get your children to see them as cookie cutter and clean so that you as a parent are supportive. You say, ooh, look at Britney Spears here. She's a nice girl in the Mickey Mouse Club. The kids become fans, right? Hannah Montana, the kids become fans, and they feel like they're growing up with her. Then they send her out of the Disney programming into the mainstream media, and her attitude changes. The way she dresses changes. She becomes sexual. Your children are now growing up with her. Now they're getting older. Now they're dressing like that. Now they're following him. Right? They get them to worship these false idols because they can relate to them. They're the same age, right? Ooh, Britney Spears understands me. I grew up watching Britney Spears. Right? Then Britney Spears' programming changes. She goes from being a princess to being a whore. Right? Why do you think that is? Or Miley Cyrus. Right? She goes from being cookie cutter to being a demonic entity on TV, dressing like a demon, pushing sex, pushing drugs in her music and alcohol and all that stuff. Because they get the children to start following these people, and then when they push them out into the mainstream, they'll change the way that they appear. They'll make them more adult, okay? The children are now teens. The parents can't control them anymore. And that's how the programming works. Listen to this list of people that have come through the Disney programming. Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, Miley Cyrus, Shia LaBeouf. You have to understand, everything that we've been indoctrinated with is a lie. Okay, we live in a world of lies. The only truth in our lives is Jesus Christ. He is the only truth. This is now a fake reality that we live in. Okay, we let the witches, the warlocks, the sorcerers, we gave them control. We gave them the power. Why? Because they created the industrial age. Okay, they ushered in mind control from Hitler, Operation Paperclip. Okay, and what did the adults and the parents do then? They were handing out houses back then. Everybody was becoming successful. Everybody was getting a job, working 50 hours a week, but they had a house. They were being raised by the television at that point. They're being in schools. We're now indoctrinated with this fake pseudo history of life. Okay, and that's how we are where we are now. But Disney played a major part in the programming of all of us. And people don't want to let it go. You have to let it go. Walt Disney was a scam. Walt Disney was a sick, sick man. Okay? You don't even have to look at his ties into the Masonry. I mean, that should be enough to give it away for people who are awake. There's a Masonic club inside of Disney. I mean, how ridiculous is that? But just look at the obvious signs. Look at the magic in all of these movies. Are any of these movies talking about Jesus Christ? No. But it's okay to talk about magic and sorcery, right? But you can't talk about Jesus Christ, right? But they can talk about Atlantis. They could talk about Hercules. They could talk about Witch Mountain. But they can't talk about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. They can't talk about the good in the scriptures, right? They're not raising your children on the scriptures. They're raising them on magic. Okay? People say, why is the quality of life so different now? Why are kids like just such brats? Or why are kids acting like this? Oh, I don't know. I mean, at a young age, you're putting on these magic films, these awful films, right? Think about 150 years ago when Little House on the Prairie, those times, Charles Ingalls. How are they raising their children, right? Come outside, work on the farm a little bit. Let me show you how to use tools, use your hands, be productive, right? Think about in Jesus' time period. He was learning from Joseph on how to be a carpenter, learning skills from his father. Instead, we just sit our children in front of these mind control films and say, oh, he's going to be wholesome because Disney's wholesome. And then they grow up to be teenagers and they're out of control and they say, what went wrong? What went wrong? I mean, we raised him on Disney films and now he's gothic or now he's out of control. He's got an attitude problem. Where do you think it goes wrong? Don't allow this to happen to your children. Share the scriptures with them. Jesus is the only way, the only truth, and the life. I thank you for listening to today's show. I hope it opened your eyes a little bit to this sorcery, this witchcraft that Disney has been indoctrinating people with. They're using these celebrities to get children addicted to them as false idols and then pushing them out into the world and making them sick, sexual perverts. And then your children watch and see that, then they act like that and they dress like that. It's basic mind control 101. All right? Thank you for listening. Again, we ask you if you haven't subscribed to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. God bless you all. Peace be with you.